Donald Trump has won the election and as a result will become the next president of the United States. In this video, I'm going to talk about what a Donald Trump presidency will mean for the car market, car prices, and how we as consumers can prepare. Donald Trump has won the presidency with a lot of action items on his agenda, but the ones applicable to this video are specifically his promise to stop outsourcing and bring more manufacturing to the United States, to end inflation, and another campaign promise has been to end the EV tax credit and cancel regulation, which truthfully isn't really a topic that we're going to be talking about in this video, but it certainly is one that is applicable to the car market, and I probably will make a different video discussing this. And while this isn't an official campaign platform promise, a big part of Trump's economic plan in order to achieve these campaign promises is tariff, specifically implementing a 60% tariff on all imported goods from China and a 10 to 20% tariff on all imported goods from other countries. And this is under the belief that if America implements a high enough tariff, this will in fact incentivize, or in some cases force, companies to bring their production to the United States in order to avoid that tariff, thus increasing American manufacturing.
The higher the tariff, the more likely it is that the company will come into the United States and build a factory in the United States so it doesn't have to pay the tariff.
The problem, though, is that the topic of tariffs and domestic versus global production is a lot more complicated and nuanced than just slapping on a 60% tariff on imported goods, and thus all of a sudden having production and manufacturing move more to the United States. And as a result of this tariff plan and the complexities that come along with it, companies and countries are already preparing for what tariffs could mean for them. And so the real question is, what does this mean for you in the context of the car market? And the truth is, for car buyers, there's a very good chance that this may not look great. As I mentioned earlier, the numbers that are consistently thrown around for Donald Trump's economic plan is a 10 to 20% tariff on imported goods, with the exception of China, which would have a 60% tariff. But truthfully, even that isn't 100% clear, because Donald Trump has also thrown around much higher numbers, specifically in the context of the car market. At a rally prior to his re-election, Donald Trump stated that he would impose a 200% tariff on vehicles that are imported from Mexico. And in an interview with Fox News, he later confirmed this statement by saying, and I quote, "All I'm saying is I'll put 200 or 500, I don't care. I'll put a number where they can't sell one car. I don't want them hurting our car companies." An action that would have severe ramifications to the car market, given the fact that Mexico is a top source for U.S. car imports, with automakers like Toyota, Ford, GM, Volkswagen, Mazda, and more all producing cars in Mexico and importing them to the States. If a 200% tariff would be placed on vehicles imported from Mexico into the United States, it would have significant ramifications to the car market and to car prices at a time where car prices are finally cooling off and stabilized. It also is incredibly important to note that whenever we're talking about tariffs, not even American-made vehicles are immune to this cost. And there are a few reasons why. One reason is that even if a car is technically manufactured in America, there is a good chance that there are components of that car that are not, and those components have to be imported. The average car has about 1,800 separate parts, 30,000 if you count each individual nut, bolt, and wire. And according to current standards, only 55% of a car has to be made in America in order to be considered American-made. So even the American-made cars that are not being held to that 200% Mexico tariff, they will still have a hefty tariff placed on up to 45% of their parts, a cost that will be passed down to the consumer. So unless a car is made 100% here in America, which there is none, every single car we see on the road today is going to be subject to some sort of tariff. And as a result, car prices will go up. But beyond that, back in Trump's first term, we got a glimpse on how placing a tariff on non-American-made products can have an impact on the American-made equivalent product. And oddly enough, this comes from a tariff that was previously placed on washing machines. In January of 2018, Donald Trump placed a tariff on washing machines, with the exact same belief that we're seeing today. If washing machines that are imported to the United States are tariffed, then Americans will either choose to buy American-made washing machines because they'll be cheaper because they won't be subject to the tariff, or the companies that are importing these washing machines to the United States will choose to bring their production to the States in order to avoid the tariff. The reality, though, is that once these tariffs were placed on washing machines, not only did imported washing machines go up in price, but so did American-made ones. It's also interesting because as a result of this tariff, production of washing machines did in fact move to the United States, and as a result, it created 1,800 jobs from washing machine companies like LG, Samsung, and Whirlpool opening up plants in America. The United States also collected a ton of money off of these tariffs as well, with one study showing $82 million in annual revenue being collected from these tariffs. But at the same time, this tariff cost consumers an extra $1.8 billion, meaning consumers paid an extra $1.8 billion as a direct result of these tariffs, which per the Wall Street Journal equates to a cost by the consumer of $815,000 per job created here in the United States as a result of the tariffs. So yes, technically these tariffs did do what they were designed to do. They increased manufacturing here in the United States. They also created a great revenue source for the American government, but it also cost the consumer a lot of money because the consumer ended up eating the cost of that tariff. And so again, we go back to the main question of this video is how will tariffs affect the car market? Well, if tariffs become implemented the way in which Donald Trump is saying they will be, car production will almost no doubt shift to either more American-made production or to countries that don't have as strong tariffs. The amount that they'll shift, well, that's a question that we don't know the answer to, but what will also no doubt become true as a result of these tariffs is that car prices will go up. There may also be a chance that the selection of cars available to consumers may fall as well. We saw this back in 1964 when the US placed a 25% tariff on light trucks and commercial vehicles, specifically targeting Volkswagen. A tariff that was implemented in response by the United States in retaliation to European tariffs on American chicken. And this in turn resulted in higher prices, but also less selection for consumers when it came to cars. There will also most likely be a trickle-down effect to the cost of repairing and maintaining cars as well. With many car parts and components being made overseas and many of them being made in China, the cost to not only make cars will become more expensive, but the cost of maintenance and repairs will as well. The bottom line is, if this tariff plan is laid out as Donald Trump has said, there is a very high likelihood that cars will become more expensive. And the increase in that cost will depend on everything we've discussed so far. The type of car, whether it was imported, as well as where it was imported from, the percentage of parts that were imported, and again, where they were imported from. And I also think that vehicle profit margin will probably play a role here as well. And the price point of the vehicle, as well as the profit margin of that vehicle, will also dictate price increases as well. But truthfully, no matter how you slice it, new car prices will go up. Which of course, as we all learned from the 2021 car market boom, this will in turn cause used prices to go up as well. So the question is, if you are someone who is looking to buy a used or a new car, would it be a good idea to look at buying that vehicle before Donald Trump takes office? And truthfully, I think the answer could be yes. If buying a car is on your radar for the next 2 to 3 years, I don't know that I'd recommend speeding up that timeline multiple years in order to avoid potential tariff costs. But if buying a car is something you're considering and it's a matter of buying now or in the next 6 months, I would at least consider making that purchase before January 20th, 2025. Because while we certainly don't know what will happen whenever Donald Trump does take office, if these tariffs are implemented, there is a strong likelihood that you will be paying more for your next car purchase. Don't forget that my courses, the Car Buying Masterclass and the Car Sharing Masterclass, are both on sale for Black Friday. You can use the code BLACKFRIDAY275 to get $275 off the Car Sharing Masterclass, and you can use the code BLACKFRIDAY125 to get $125 off the Car Buying Masterclass. Like always, you guys, I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you have any questions, comments, if you have anything to add, I would love to hear it, so make sure to leave a comment down below. And while you guys are at it, make sure to hit the like button, hit that subscribe button, and hit the notification bell, and I will see you guys in the next video.